Let's talk about something wild. A future that might be a whole lot closer than any of us think. I'm talking about a world where artificial superintelligence, or ASI, doesn't just shake things up, it could make the very idea of money completely obsolete. How is that even possible? Well, let's dive in.
So let's just jump right in with a massive question. What if money just came worthless? I mean, really think about that for a second. The cash in your bank, your stocks, the price tag on a bottle of water, all of it just gone. A relic. Sounds like science fiction, right? Well, it's a super radical idea for sure, but it's exactly the mindset we need to get our heads around the world of ASI.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the 3 ages of AI to set the stage. Then we'll look at what ASI actually is and why it changes everything. After that, we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the end of financial and real estate assets. We'll also see how companies completely transform. And finally, we'll figure out what actually matters when ownership is no longer the name of the game.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the 3 ages of AI. And trust me, getting this timeline straight is key, because this isn't some flip of a switch event. It's a revolution that happens in stages, and we're already in the first one.
Right now, we are smack in the middle of the ANI era. That's artificial narrow intelligence. This is the stuff you see today, like all the amazing generative AIs. It's incredible at specific tasks, but it can't, think for itself. The general consensus is that this phase lasts until about 2030. Next up is AGI, Artificial General Intelligence. This is when AI becomes as smart as a human across the board. That's slated to kick off around 2030. But the real game changer, the one we're here to talk about, is ASI, Artificial Superintelligence. We're looking at a time frame of around 2040 for that. And folks, that's when the rulebook for human civilization pretty much gets tossed out the window.
So what happens when we hit that final stage? That brings us to part 2, how superintelligence changes the world. And I really want to be clear here. We are not talking about a smarter version of the AI we have now. This is not just a better chatbot. This is a fundamentally new kind of intelligence on this planet.
So what even is ASI? The definition is actually pretty simple, but it is totally mind-bending. It's an intellect that's not just smarter than the smartest person, it's smarter than all of humanity combined. And not just in one area like math. I mean in every single field. Creativity, emotional intelligence, strategy, you name it. Imagine taking every genius who ever lived, rolling them into one, and then making that 1,000,000 times more powerful. That's the ballpark we're in. And its powers? Well, they are basically godlike. 3 key things to wrap your head around. First, it can improve itself. It can rewrite its own code at lightning speed, getting exponentially smarter in a runaway feedback loop. Second, it figures out the universe. It masters physics. We're talking about finally cracking things like nanotechnology and fusion energy. The ability to build things atom by atom. And that leads directly to the third and most important power, the creation of a post-scarcity world.
And this is the core idea of this entire explainer. Think about it. Our entire world, everything from your job to the stock market, runs on one single principle: scarcity. There isn't enough stuff to go around. That is the whole game. Well, ASI doesn't just change the rules of the game. It flips the entire table over. It ends scarcity. It creates a world where there's enough of pretty much everything for everyone.
So if the game is over, what happens to all the points on the scoreboard? Our money, our investments. That's what we're tackling in Section 3, the end of financial and real estate assets. Let's watch as these pillars of our modern world start to look a little wobbly.
Right now, your money is your lifeline, right? It's how you survive, how you get stuff, how you feel secure. In an ASI world, that all changes. Money, stocks, bonds, they basically become artifacts. Think of them like an ancient Roman coin you might find in a museum. It's interesting for sure, but you can't use it to buy a coffee. It's just a historical record of a time that's long gone.
So how does this actually happen? Well, first, currency just stops being useful. Why would you need money for food or medicine if an ASI can just create them for you for basically nothing? And stocks, a stock is just a claim on a company's future profits. But what happens when profit isn't the goal anymore? Maybe stocks turn into something else, like a way to vote for a project you think is important. And for all you crypto fans, well, an ASI with its insane computing power could probably crack current encryption in like a nanosecond. So yeah, that system gets a big rewrite too.
Okay, I hear you. But what about my house? What about land? That's real. And you're right, it will still have value. But, and this is a huge but, the reason it has value is going to completely flip on its head. It stops being about the practical and becomes all about the emotional.
Just think it through. If nanotech can build you a mansion for next to nothing, the construction cost just vanishes. If you can travel anywhere instantly, why pay a premium to be close to downtown? The whole idea of location, location, location just evaporates. So what's left? What gives a place value? The things in AI can't just create out of thin air. The deep history of a place, the breathtaking natural beauty, the unique vibe of a community. And maybe we don't even own land anymore. Maybe we just become temporary stewards of a place, part of a globally optimized system for everyone's benefit.
So our personal assets get turned upside down. What about companies? Well, that brings us to Section 4. A company's value becomes its people. The whole reason a corporation even exists is about to get a radical redesign.
Today, a company's worth is tied up in its patents, its brand, its factories. But what happens when an ASI knows everything, can make anything perfectly, and can manage all logistics flawlessly? All that stuff becomes common. So what's left? What's the one thing you can't automate? The human element, the founder's vision, the ideology, the sheer will to bring an idea to life.
Things like patents and copyrights, they pretty much become a public good, open for everyone. A brand isn't a promise of quality anymore, because everything is of the highest quality. Instead, a brand becomes a symbol of a mission, a tribe that people want to belong to. So in this new world, the rarest, most precious resource is a compelling human vision for the future, and the leadership to make it happen. That becomes the ultimate asset.
And all of this brings us to our final big picture idea, Section 5. We shift from a world of ownership to a world of meaning. Let's tie all these threads together and see what the new currency of the future really looks like.
This chart really lays it all out beautifully. You can see the pattern, right? Anything that's basically just a number or a physical thing, cash, buildings, loses its monetary value and becomes something else, a historical record, a form of art. But the stuff that is uniquely human, the intangible stuff like emotion, vision, and leadership, that's what skyrockets in value. The stuff we build with our hands becomes common, but the stuff we build with our hearts and minds becomes priceless.
The source material uses this brilliant analogy that makes it all so clear. In a post-scarcity world, trying to accumulate financial assets is like trying to hoard air today. Just think about it. Would you go around bottling up air and trying to sell it? Of course not. That's absurd. It's everywhere. It's free. That's what money becomes, a pointless thing to collect.
So it all boils down to this. Our entire definition of value does a complete 180-degree turn. It shifts from how much do you have to what kind of value do you create. The most important question is no longer what's in your portfolio. It's, okay, you have access to nearly infinite resources, so what are you going to do with them? What amazing, meaningful thing are you going to bring into the world?
So what's the takeaway here? How on earth do we prepare for something this big? Well, the advice is a kind of two-part strategy. First, think of your current assets not as the end goal, but more like a ticket. A ticket to get you through the potentially chaotic transition period as AGI comes online. But at the same time, and this is the really important part, start consciously investing in the assets that will actually matter in the long run. Your unique human capital, your vision, your creativity, your community. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. In a world where anything physical can be produced for free, what is the one unique, irreplaceable asset that only you can bring to the table? What is the value that you should start cultivating today?